So the reason why I asked that is because you missed out because you weren't here yet, but I pretty much told them, like, I asked you guys to get here early, or as early as possible, so I can kind of get a feel for what the group is like, so that way I know how to assign the devices. Because there's chatty people, there's quiet people, there's scientific people, there's people that don't want to be involved at all, so I have tools for every type of those people. So that's why I kind of asked, like, is he, very outgoing? Is he a quiet person? Like, what's the deal? So the first thing we're going to be using, first and foremost, to every single person. If you want to intermingle those devices among your party, feel free to do so. Just keep them within your party. I do a pretty good job about balancing things out based on the size of each party. But you're going to have questions about your devices. I promise you will have questions. Hang on to those questions. This first initial portion of our tour together is to kind of get them into your hands, give you a quick demo. At our first location, you will have more hands-on experience with those devices as I work with each one of you to show you more about those. So the first device we're going to be using is a thermal imaging camera. Why would I want to use thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? This is interactive, guys, I promise.
That's how you find the ghosts, man.
How so?
Because they're thermal energy.
Cold, right. We're looking for cold spots. Like, we're gonna make it simple. It's cold spots. That's what we're looking for in here. So I will tell you, last night we actually caught a little bit of a weird anomaly with this guy. We actually seen 3 people standing behind 3 other people.
It's gonna be him. I'm just telling you right now. It's gonna be him.
See why I said she's my chatty Cathy? So we're literally going to be looking for those cold spots in blue or black formats. So again, we're looking for those either blue or black areas to actually start moving or take shape on their own. There's a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen. I'm not even filming him. I'm filming you at this point.
He had blue dots.
He's fine. Get back over there. Unless you're going to lead the show.
I think it's him.
So the blue dots, there's a blue dot bouncing around the frame that's giving us the coldest frame in, at the point in the frame at that particular moment. So it's kind of helping guide our eye on where the coldest spot is. However, it's not always, I'm not always staring at the blue dot. I'm also looking at the blue and black areas that are moving on their own. So that way we can kind of tell, what's actually happening inside the screen. Yeah. So we are going to be recording all night long, but Sawyer, I'm going to give you some starts and stops with this guy, just because as great as this hardware is, because this is a FLIR Pro 1, this software sucks. So if we record for too long, we're going to lose all of our footage. So I will give you the cues for that. So you're going to hold this horizontal all night long with the camera on your left. That's the wire side. When I say to stop the video, you hit the red square. And then obviously when you start it back up again, make sure you're in this starting position before you hit the circle. So it'll turn to a circle. But that's going to go to you, sir.
Oh, Sawyer.
Well, and you just put your hand over the camera. Left-hand side. Left-hand side.
Left-hand
there you
side.
go.
Okay. The camera's right here?
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Okay.
He's got it.
Who's following you? I'm just saying.
And this is the stop and start right here?
Yeah.
I'm trying to take a picture.
Yeah, I know. And
We're going to get both cameras going just so we can get them done and over with and out into the open. Perfect. We're up and running. So, quick demo on this guy. You should not be able to see me in this little tiny black screen. So, we're going to go around the horn. I know it's a little tiny GoPro. You should be able to see me just based on the lights of the car. But let's turn on the lights we're actually going to be using. So, you should now see me in a purple or pinkish hue. So, just to kind of give you a better perspective. So we are working with IR lighting. So this is full spectrum lights we cannot see with our own eyes. It can be seen through the camera, however. So the cool thing is that we're going to be recording with this guy, but we're going to be doing it in splices just because the files for this guy are giant. It is a GoPro. Yeah. So again, it does like to freeze up from time to time depending on the way the night is going. So I'll be working with this person particularly just to make sure we're going to have enough footage. We normally capture about 30 minutes total of footage on this, and normally between an hour to an hour and a half on the thermal imaging camera.
Zach's a videographer.
Really?
Yeah.
No, he's not here. Brandon? He's not here yet. So, again, I'll be showing you more about that, once we get to the first location. Now that both cameras are out, I'm going to make, a very bold statement. It is a Friday night, and people do not like to be filmed, and they don't like their cars to be filmed. Some of these spaces we're going to be going to tonight, guys, these are the spaces that the other ghost tours won't go to because there might not be anything to see.
So, Zach.
With that.
Zach. So.
Hello, sir.
Nick. Zach.
Zach, nice to meet you.
Sawyer, Rick.
Krista.
Krista.
Wow.
Brandon.
Tina.
There you
Nice.
It's all on the audio anyway, so in case you miss it, it's
Okay.
fine. So, back to the cameras. So some of these spaces, Brandon, just so you know, they're going to be parked cars. We're not going to be staring at parked cars for too long. If people are walking around trying to get to their vehicles, I might say act casual. Yours is going to be very easy, Sawyer. You're just going to look like you're acting like looking at your cell phone. But yours, Brandon, I want you to point it at the ground if I say act casual. Again, people just don't like to be filmed. They have no idea what we're doing out here. So kudos to us for actually paying attention, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into spirit boxes.
Like Ghostbusters.
Pretty much.
Like the little trap they throw out. Sucks money.
So I handed an EMF meter to a little kid the other night, and he was waiting for like the little things to come out, like a PKE meter. He's like, where are the lights in the bars? I'm like, dude, it's not Ghostbusters. You could be Egon, but... So, spirit boxes, we're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So, I use a lot of them because we never know where the message is actually going to go, and most of them do something a little bit different than the next one. So, this one in particular, if you watch the television shows, this is kind of like the white noise that you hear, and then your host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. So, this one is going to sweep through the FM radio stations to create that white noise, but the method we're going to be using tonight is slowing it down. So, we're actually going to allow the radio chatter to come through. If we can hear song lyrics and DJs and commercials, it's a 50-50 shot that I can tie to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you guys. So again, the cool thing about this one in particular is that it's going to record the entire session for us. Now the person that's going to be using this is going to have an earbud in, so that way they're going to be the only person to hear it in real time. I will actually take note of what they're hearing in real time by taking notes, so that way it goes into your analysis tomorrow morning. But I'm going to spot check this audio again and give you 15 to 20 more markers. So if it's relevant to one of those three things, the location, the person, or one of us, I will obviously tell you why and then give you a backlink to be able to verify it. You guys are going to have a great audio. I'm recording everything, just so you know. So all of the cursing and swearing behind me that's going on will be on your radio audio.
Oh yeah, I'm not that dumb.
Danielle, you are my first person with the spirit box. So, two things. You'll have to untie this, and your volume has to be right here.
Do you want to put this on?
I'm good.
You're not going to mess with the recording, but it records at a nice level. So, by all means, put the volume all you want. Most people just keep one earbud in, so that way they can hear me and go back and forth. So, kind of keep that in mind. Let's set up the second one. And Tina, this one is going to go to you. Yours will not record. So I will have to rely on you on what you're hearing in real time to be able to take those notes to be able to add it to the analysis tomorrow morning. So I like to get these two done at the same time and get them out of the way. Everybody gets a job. That's the whole point of this tour. Everybody gets a job to use something a little bit different than the next person. So that way.
Oh my god, you look like a jack-o'-lantern.
Can you see the
If I give you
blue?
4 hours of white noise, you're not going to listen to both. The whole point is to try to give you the full experience in real time too.
It's the
So
coldest
that
thing.
way, it's just a matter of like, that's a lot.
And you can
of
kind of
white
see
noise
like
to be
how
able
So
recent
if
the
I
car
hear
is.
something, I'm talking to Danielle to make sure that it's recorded?
to- No,
No.
you're talking to me, so I can manually record it and write it down. Got it. So with that, set of earbuds. Your volume button is the wheel at the top. Again, play with it as much as you want to. You just have to untwist your earbuds. I do not want earbuds back. That's your own souvenir. I don't want your earwax because it's gross. So
That is pretty gross.
yeah, I buy them in bulk. How about it? Let's see. Let's just get all the spirit boxes out of the way. What do you guys think? This spirit box. This one's a little crazy. This one's brand new. So this one is going to sweep through the FM and the AM radio stations at the same time. And it is going to take out the white noise. So we are not going to be hearing as much out of this one, but I will tell you this one has been 75% accurate out of what comes out of it. So it's called an auto noise canceller. So this one, again, is going to give us little tiny static pieces from time to time, just like what you're hearing right now. If we can make out a word that's coming out of it, great. I would tell you 7 out of the 10 times that we've had something come out of this, I am able to tie it to that location, a person, one of us. So I can go with you on this one, because you haven't said much at all. The only thing you need to worry about is the mute button. It's on the right-hand side right over here. So right now I'm going to mute it. It's the only button on that side, just so I can kind of get through the rest of this, and then we will talk more about your device as we move along. one last spirit box, because I like to throw one in every group. At least one in every group. So this one, we don't have to listen to it at all. It's going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen as soon as it boots up. So where those 3 dots are, you'll see words all night long. It's going to save all those terms to a list. Last night we actually had 76 terms. That's been about the average lately for a 2-hour time frame. So I'm going to clear them out because they already have their list. This is a phone app, right? 80% of this is going to be bullshit. I'm just going to put it out there. We're just going to throw those words away. It's the other 5 to 20% that are going to be so specific to our location, we can't deny it, and hopefully we can be able to tie it into what the other spirit boxes are hearing in real time as well. So a lot of times, like, I just kind of piece things together to kind of make sure it's matching up. And we'll talk more about that as we kind of move through the night. So Krista, this one's going to go to you. I don't want to see every word that comes up. I will come to you when I want to take a look at the list. Okay. So that way we can kind of see things. All right. You guys have probably seen these on television before, so the EMF meters, these are pretty much a necessity. So these are going to measure electromagnetic fields. So anything from your cell phones, wiring, buildings, those kind of things. This is kind of what helps me debunk things pretty quickly. So if this thing is going off, Rick, you just need to let me know. I already have the colors memorized, so you can just tell me what color you saw so I know what the reading is and write it down. But this kind of helps me with the debunking part of things. So this kind of helps out with the spirit box as well. If you're getting a lot of readings that aren't coming from something man-made, obviously you two want to be asking questions, and we'll talk more about that as we move along. Because you're last, you get the multitasking device. Okay. So this one is called a millimeter. So what does this guy do? It has an EMF meter built into it as well, but it is digital and it is way more accurate and goes way beyond the reading of Rick's device. So anything above 2.5, that's his second green dot. I want to know what's going on with the 2.5 is higher. The bottom number is ambient
That was in
temperature.
Ghostbusters.
If Sawyer over here captures something with his thermal imaging camera, you and I can debunk it pretty quickly based on the yellow probe up here at the top.
That was in
The last
Ghostbusters.
thing that it has is it has a motion meter built into it. And we're going to talk more about this at our first location because this one's a little bit more complicated. But the gist of this is that if something gets close to the antenna, it will go off. So the closer it gets, the higher the pitch we get, and different colors we're going to see among that. So I'm going to put that off for now, just because I already interrupted the field and turned the antenna off. I just need you to focus on those red numbers. Everybody geared up? All right, go have fun. Let me know what happens. No, I'm kidding. Don't mind.
See ya.
I know, right?
I'll run off with your phone.
It's all insured. You're fine. All right, so you guys are going to have me talking tonight. I can feel that for certain. So isn't that my job to talk, right? That's right. That's why I bring the water. What do you have? Jada. Yeah, I got nothing on that. Again, most of it's going to be 80% garbage, just so you know. Now, let's talk about why we started here. This is Big John's Tavern behind me. So, this place was named after a football player, Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Now, with every location we go to, when I'm giving you the history about a location, I will always slow down on specific keywords. Those keywords are usually the ones that are more prominent to come through on spirit boxes. For example, this location would be 47 New York Giants. Anything relatable to a bar. So that's kind of the things that we would look for in a space like this. But anyway, let's talk about Big John. He used to sit in the back of this bar because he owned it, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry, pissed off. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he puts down his beer, he gets up and just starts beating the hell out of these guys, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, just grazes him, and the bullet goes behind him into the wall. John gets up after being shot, the only one being shot, goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. Now, the irony of the story is that nobody died in that story. You think of a haunting, you think of somebody's dead. Now, John's dead, but not from that gunshot wound. So, what's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if it's not, after the renovation of the Big Johns we now know, John's blood is still in this building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headache. This is kind of your heated warning that we are going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight, fingers crossed. I can't make the ghosts do anything because they're not on the payroll. So there will be light nights, there will be heavy nights. Last night was a really heavy night for me. So we'll kind of see what happens into this. And I'm always honest with you. If it's a light night of activity, it's a light night of activity. I'm just going to put it out there. But as far as the symptoms that I just told you about, if anybody is feeling any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately so that way I can move it over and get us quickly. That's fair to everybody. People have passed out from this tour in the past. So, and again, not to scare anybody, but that's probably the scariest thing I'll probably tell you all night long. So let's talk about something else other than our own health, right? Because we got a monitor, so we really don't want to be. I guess we got 2 monitors. So with that said, let's not worry about our kids. Big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't know that already from a Charleston tour of some sort, now you do. So allegedly, this is where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see behind me in the middle of the building also wraps around to the front of the building on the east bay side. A piece of it broke off during that earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head and killed them. They say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. And notice I said apparently and allegedly and they say kind of stuff with that stories because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. And there I am bringing it up again. How about that? Is everybody ready to go ghost hunting? What do you think, Sawyer? It's all about you right now.
All right, sure, yeah.
Yep, he says yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to go this way. Did you find a good parking spot, Sawyer?
Yes, I did. Yep.
See, you're getting names wrong already, Dan. Right. See, look at that 99% man. Beautiful. That's a good move. So, actually, there'll be one of our last stops will be right next to St. Philip's Church. And on a full moon, it usually sits right next to the sea.
Oh,
If you're a
yeah.
picture taker, it's usually pretty gorgeous. So anyway, let's talk about why we're here. This is the big red barn behind you. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. This is well, first off, I should tell you, think of your entire time with me as kind of a ghost hunting 101. We're going to be leveling up as we go out throughout the night. This is going to be an easy spot first. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. It's just so I can show you more about your devices. So, again, horses for your carriage rides are inside. They can't hear us because there's no glass inside those window panes, just so you guys know. So normally this is a part of the reason why we use earbuds now, because it actually spooks the horses and they kick the wall and scare the shit out of everybody. Sorry for the language. But at the same time, it's a one-line piece of history. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So again, your keywords here would be delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So let's talk about those spirit boxes. Let's kind of get this out of the way, because the spirit boxes, there's many of them, right? This is not television, this is not YouTube, this is not, is somebody here? Because that's what everybody wants to ask. That is a yes or no question. If somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. So we're not going to be asking yes or no questions all night long. The television shows do it, I know, but it's a horrible tactic because paranormal proof does not come out of yes or no questions. We want details, that's why you guys are here. So I would tell you to actually ask questions here that you already know the answers to. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red, because Krista has the word list. She's looking at it, not listening. However, most of you are listening for DJs and song lyrics and commercials to be able to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be in their vocabulary at that particular moment to answer you, but fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night, I'm going to require 2 pieces of something happening. By the way, we already have like about a 15 milligauss reading on the K2 meter, which is good. So, tell Zach, do you have anything going on with yours?
I had a 2.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
I went up here, I had a 7.5.
Oh,
I think there's something flying
thing's
over me. But it's gone now.
Saying door now.
door. Interesting. We'll see what else comes up with that. So, with that, again, I'm going to require 2 pieces of something going on, whether it's a EMF reading or something along those lines, or 2 words matching up to be able to verify each other. For example, let's say, Tina, you hear the number 40 on your spirit box, and Krista, you have the word art on yours. The 2 of them don't match up individually, they don't make any sense, but put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. We're still near Big John's Tavern. Does that make sense how we're going to put these clues together? A lot of these stories tonight are going to be lots of Charleses and Georges and Elizas. Like, we need to know who the hell we're talking to. So, again, that's kind of how the tactics are, throughout the night. Last night, they all matched up. Like, it was crazy stuff going on. And I don't hide anything, so you can actually go back and look at the previous tour or any specific date that you want to, because all of the data stays up there for an entire year. So if you want to go look to see what happened on your birthday, if I had a tour that day, it'll be there. Anyway, back to where we are.
If this changes
it says door and now equip. That changes color. Does that mean anything?
So you have to remember, this app is meant to try to scare people. So it's all part of the aesthetics. Normally, if
Gotcha.
you see the bars go up, it's usually going to spit out a word. Now, your device actually has over 9,100 terms in it. Those little boxes you see on TV, they call them an ovulus. Those only have just over 2,000 terms in it. So we're just working with a much bigger dictionary.
Okay.
So that's the whole point of that.
Gotcha.
So, back to the spirit boxes. I think you guys all have this basic gist of how you're going to be listening into those. And again, you're listening for song lyrics, DJs, and commercials. Let's talk about those cameras. So, Sawyer, you're going to try to do two things tonight. First thing you're going to try to do is you're going to try to keep one of us in the frame at any point in time. The reason being is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. It's only about 67 to 68 degrees out here average, but we are 97 degrees. If you put us in the frame, it gives you an array of color on in the picture. So that makes it much easier to try to find those cold spots when they're moving around. So the other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason being is because that blue dot bouncing around that's showing us the cold spots is actually defaulting to the sky when it's in view because it's looking for a surface. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some of these spaces it's going to be impossible, but just do your best in some of the spaces we're going to be in. Let's see. Brandon, your particular camera. Go ahead and point it at me for a second. So notice I'm in the purple circle at this point. Like I should be pretty purple right here. I'm not looking for things in the purple light. Like you're going to see two circles on there, one for your long range and one for your short range. I'm looking for things that are coming out of the darkness, which are going to be over here that should not be able to reflect light. So when I have my full groups of 10, I bring out the laser grid as well. So anything lights that thing up like a Christmas tree. So that way we can actually see motion going through the lasers at the same time. So again, you're just kind of a filmographer at this point with the fact that, like I said, it may lock up on us from time to time. I'll show you the tactic on how to get that fixed. But the other thing I want to point out is if something gets too close and it bleaches out, you can turn off the short range and actually the long range is still working. So again, at your discretion, this is Velcroed on there, so feel free to, it's just a red button at the top. So I'll show you more about where to record on that guy. Tell Zach I'll show you more about that REM pod at the next location. Does everybody have a good gist on how to use your devices? Okay, I do have to record that 15 milligauss. Yes.
Am I supposed to have headphones, or do I just?
No, it's open air. I found with headphones, it doesn't do the noise canceling bit of it, so you get all the static too, which was not the purpose of me actually picking that up for the tour. And you're going to find, like, you're not going to be able to give me a whole lot out of that, but I will tell you what you do give me, it's a good 75% chance we can tie it to where we are. And again, everybody else is going to be giving me these very vague phrases, and I'm like, I have nothing on that. You know, you might actually hear the term baby right here. There's nothing that I can come up with the word baby. But if you come up with the word, you know, Big John or just the word big, and then somebody else has the name John, like your terms are very specific. So again, the headphone piece on that doesn't work with the noise canceling. I don't know if it's something built into the speaker or how it actually operates, but again, it's a relatively new device. I've only had it for about a month, so we'll see what happens tonight. But so far, it's been pretty damn accurate. So I'm pretty impressed with it so far. So anything higher than that little mid-range orange bar on your K2 meter? Did it go any higher than that?
No, not the orange.
Okay, so about 15 milligauss. And then you had a 7.2?
Yeah, up there. I pointed at the moon.
Well, it's measuring whatever's around the device.
Oh, maybe it's up top.
Natalie.
Well, the thing is, there's not even any wiring above us.
Yeah.
So that's just weird that you had a high, that's a pretty high reading for
Yeah,
this area.
just went up,
Yeah.
and then it went down.
Pretty crazy. All right, I say we go deep dive into much deeper history than ponies and football players. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let's do it.
See? How's it going, Tina? Have you heard anything?
Not yet.
Not yet? All right, let's do this. See how once I get serious about everything, everybody kind of calms down a little bit?
Yeah.
It happens every single night. Every single day.
I just got that fourth color. Big time. Red.
Nice.
I went up the fifth one. It just hit the fifth one.
Nice. So you've already spiked out. happen this early. Usually it builds up to that, so it's good that you did that early. Writing in the dark is a new skill, by the way.
Right.
I'm trying to decipher it in the morning when I'm writing all your notes. All right, guys, circle around. Let me kind of tell you what's going on in this crazy space. So welcome to another beautiful spot of Charleston. You're in a parking lot. So for safety reasons, so everybody knows, that's the only entrance and exit for vehicles. We will be paying attention to cars coming in and out of the lot. We will not be going in between vehicles, and of course, we've already talked about not filming vehicles for longer. You're just going to be in passing. All right, so just got to be ready for those. What do you got?
7.1 again.
It's good. I'm not complaining. You guys are going to keep me on my toes. I can already feel it. Anything higher than 7.1?
No.
At this point, let's go anything above 7.1. That way you don't have to shout out every number below that. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. So, what is this place? This is the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. So, their house actually sat in the front of this lot. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So spirit boxes, I will not be giving you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes. So let's kind of get into it. You look very like in tune or perplexed. I'm trying to figure out which one.
I swear to God, I heard Eliza when we walked into this lot.
This is why we write things. As soon as we walked in,
She had Jada.
Yeah,
and you didn't even know Eliza yet?
I had no idea.
Okay, it's going to be a good night.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome stuff. 10.1 too?
So when we see these things, should I be like trying to film that? Like
Well, you're not even filming yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Because I'm like, that's like near, the activity is near that thing, right? Like, that's
it's a
the idea.
possibility.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that he's measuring basically how the electrical field is changing.
Yeah.
It might not be visual.
But it has to be in that vicinity.
It would be in that vicinity. Right. So, I know, he's still not unmuted yet. Let's kind of get into the history here. So, Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses in case you lost track. You see why I need a secondary clue? Because we need to know who these people are. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal to us, but you guys are all on vacation and nobody's from here, and I don't give a shit about politics anyway. So let's move on. Okay. Yeah, very fair. Now, Eliza was at a young age when she married Charles, according to today's standards. So when you're asking her how old she was when she got married, it's not going to be like 12 or 14, like the colonial times that she came from. It's going to be God, these traffic tonight. It's going to be... Oh, that's the same thing you guys will get every night. So it's going to be, relative to our today's times of being at a young age. The only reason I bring this up is because Charles was over double her age when they married. So you can ask her how old she was once we kind of break apart. She married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his children one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put. It's 1744, so this was not marrying him for a green card or for citizenship, because we're not even a country yet. She did marry Charles out of love, just in case everybody wants to poke that bear. But anyway, her father did not die right away, so she was correct, which means her father starts sending her apologetic gifts to this location of where we're standing right now. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Zach's wearing it right now. So that's how we use it today. And we didn't know what to do, she didn't know what to do with these indigo seeds when she got it, so she had to learn from her slaves on how to keep it cultivated, and obviously are not hot temperatures all the time. So again, once she figures it out, she moves it to a plantation just north of here and calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which is something absolutely unheard of. That's the business of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. So 5 months apart, his first wife Eliza dies, and then 5 months later he marries this Eliza. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that start with the letter L. Hopefully, if you want to ask which Eliza we're dealing with, ask her maiden name. The mansion's not here anymore. You can obviously ask what happened to it. It's obviously some kind of tragedy. There's your clue. If you get an answer, ask what year that happened. It's a specific year. We might even get the specific full date, which I also know, from memory. The children. I told you there's at least one. His name is Charles, I know the Constitution. There are more. Do not poke the bear and ask too many questions about the children. You can basically ask what their names were and how many she had total. Yes, sorry, got that backwards. I normally say the total first. The reason being is there's a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear too much, all activity will stop, including Rick's readings that we're already getting. So again, I've seen it go down to 0, and then the rest of the night is crap. So just don't poke the bear. As far as Eliza's death, that's where she's open. You can ask anything you want to about her death. How old were you when you died? What did you die from? Where are you buried? And what U.S. president was a pallbearer at your funeral? Again, a president took her to her grave. Like, that's a pretty big deal. Notice again, none of these are yes or no questions. We do have a extra little surprise. I just got this in this week. I'm super stoked about it. We're going to be using a trigger object to try to stir up some more activity. So, because you arrived earlier, this is a seedlet of indigo. So these are actual indigo seeds, the same type that make blue dye. You're going to carry that around as you guys are asking your questions. So, again, it is glued to the card, so just kind of make sure it gets back to you, because they're hard to come by and they're expensive to do. He's not recording yet. All right, so we are going to spread out in this area. We still have a pretty decent amount of space, even though there's a lot of cars in here tonight. Again, just try not to go in between vehicles. So you're already recording, so good to go on yours. Any words pop up, Krista, since before we spread apart?
Employer
Anything
won't.
Okay. To see the full list, hit the little white box next to the word. It looks like a scroll.
Madeline, Gabriel, Jada.
Okay, nothing yet, again. So we'll kind of see what else pops up out of that. I need to work with Zach about his REM pod and that motion sensor. So everybody else, turn those spirit boxes up. Brandon, go ahead and start recording. That's the top button right here. You're going to hold it until it blinks. If it locks up, basically you're going to need to reset the whole device, which is the power button in the front. You just hold it until it shuts off. And then we need to determine if we need to stop it every 2 to 3 minutes to start a new splice. Because I'm going to splice it all together. But again, the smaller chunks, that way we don't lose any footage. So again, just let me know if it locks up and if you had to reset it or not, so that way I know where to put that.
No.
All right, spirit box is up. Let's see what we can do. All right, Zach, let's talk about that REM pod. Your device has, obviously you've been seeing readings, so that's already good. So the antenna's already up. Flip the device to the back. There's going to be 2 little white buttons underneath there.
Coming this way?
So
Oh, it was in the Ghostbusters movie. You gotta know this.
Alright, let me over slowly. Your emotions are going to make it go over. And your thumb is in the air. So there you go. So basically what you did, you just created an EMF field around the antenna. So anytime something breaks, now your emotions are 60.
Dad, your head is 92 degrees.
It's cold.
Mom's is 96.
That could have been our magazine cover as well.
That's usually about 40 to 60 milliamps. Card coming through, everybody be careful. Your microwave running on high is about 150 to 170 if you're standing next to it. So I've seen that go up that high. Again, it's pretty close to like what's kind of moving. So it kind of gives you that gist. Did you find a good fertilizer?
How many children did you have? Charts.
What do you got?
Charts. Yeah, I see that. Like, I was kind of eyeballing it as I was talking to that. So, I mean, I've already got his max rating. So you basically, wherever that thing's going, that spike is where the tube you need to stop. I don't need to record anymore because it's already been maxed. So your device actually goes up to 25, and he's already gotten readings all the way up to 28. So just kind of giving you that perspective of like what those devices actually do. Now, what I just told him about the EMF fields, kind of give you a perspective. Behind your television is about 40 milligauss, 40 to 50. There you go. Perfect. Now, your microwave running on high is about 150 to 170. Next to it. Your device, again, kind of gives me that first indication something might be happening, but it also looks like the pulse is working.
The answer might come to something. Nice. Gotcha.
That's why it bounces around. You see where the tubes are.
Crazy.
Is it locked up on you yet, Brandon? I would.
something right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you put it over your head? I feel like it's over our head. No? Oh, I kind of going up in there. There's something up. That's what. Look at that. Yeah, it was like kind of. Oh, what is that? No idea. You catching anything over him right now?
Not really, no.
It's like full on.
See that?
Mouse.
It's an education.
But I'm waiting for a secondary clue to verify. Yeah, at this point, it's vague. Another clue kind of specifies
There is something right here. No, but there is something drawing me right here.
You got the volume up, right?
Yes, it's loud.
Yeah, they're cheap heads.
Nothing is like, nothing's.
They just like I told
Yeah.
Danielle, whatever you hear, no matter how silly you think it is, buy a can today, buy it now. Even the silliest thing, and so weird, try to get it hot. I don't care.
Okay. There's a lot then. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was crazy. I actually heard blue 3 times also as we were heading in here. But like it wasn't until you gave me this thing that I was like, oh yeah, all right, that makes sense. 3 different times, different stations. But that was over there. But there is absolutely something here.
Like the label of the Pinckneys, way over where we started. Like because it's that strong of things that actually occur. But I've also got terms for any other readings coming up on October 28th? Okay. This little readings. I haven't seen it, so I'm discounted as it's probably your readings. Anything else on the back? Anything else from the years besides batting? Have you heard anything else besides the lake?
Is Sawyer looking for something particular on his screen? Like the location of the cold spot?
Yeah, if he finds anything that's moving, like that's blue or black in his particular camera, like and it's taking shape and obviously getting much colder, I usually look for like a 15 to 20 degree difference. So that way I'll give you guys like screenshots when I do find something. Okay. So that way you can see the temperature. That dot bounces like crazy. So you might want to be careful. They're going to be coming through here. They're going to be right next. Right there. Yeah, there you go. More casual moments of people walking through. Alright, so because the spirit boxes are kind of struggling as far as the red goes, I think I need to regroup us and then kind of give you the answers so that we can actually kind of give you the gist of what I'm going, what we're looking for here in the data tomorrow. So I'm going to pull this back to the back again. Keep listening until I can get everybody back here. Alright, so because the 2 spirit boxes like what you have, I'm going to step back.
That's where we just said it.
Okay.
They should be giving me phrases like crazy.
Respect.
Isn't that like a famous song?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Silly.
A warm. No, I think that's just the car.
But he said it was 15 degrees. That's more than 15 degrees different.
Yeah.
It's like between me. I think you're right. It's the car.
So let's go back to the spot where we started so that we were, not in line of fire. the indigo back. Alright. So, we do have.
I think it just said Eliza. Something like that.
Did you both hear it?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn cool. Like that's the kind of stuff we're listening for. So unfortunately, nobody was near you close enough with an audio recorder. That would be me and Sawyer. And Sawyer, you can stop your video now and kind of give your hands a break a little bit.
I got Portugal.
Portugal.
I heard a horse on the way over.
And Fort, right?
Port.
Fort. Oh, horse. Oh, you said horse, not
Was
Fort.
there a horse or the word horse? Horse. Okay. Interesting. Very odd list. Portugal. That's just weird to hear. So we're gonna see what's going on there. So you can. So normally with the cameras, if you want to remember, this is a quiet area. So Zach, when I had to mute yours, just because there's people in these hotel rooms behind us, we don't stay here for very long. But cameras, I want you pointing one way down the alley, whichever way you choose. So if you're staying in one spot, like perfect. Just makes things easier, be as still as possible. So let's talk about why we're here. Any names or anything pop up on your list?
Discussion, light, rocks, cake, and get as soon as we can.
So get cake, everybody. Did you guys hear that?
Get cake.
So I will tell you, we passed one of our more famous bakeries, Carmela's. So on the way out here. Anyway, let's talk about why we're here. Rick asked me about the original Charlestown wall, which is what we actually discuss in here. So when we came over Cumberland Street, that last crosswalk, where we got killed, by the way.
Where what? Were we about that?
Yeah, where we about got killed and became ghosts. That's where the original Charlestown wall used to be. So it went up Cumberland Street. The other side of the wall went down East Bay. So we are now inside the original Charlestown wall. So Charleston was called Charlestown, the walled city. This is one of the first streets we ever had, another yawn as we born. So again, with this being one of the original streets that we ever had, people used to live down here. That's why I ask you all for names. The names I commonly get on every 6 to 7 week of a rotation are the names Benjamin and John. Very common names, I know. But here's where it gets weird. On that list of names, it's not like 40 to 50 people lived here at any given time. We're talking like 4 to 6 people. When Benjamin and John come up, those are two gentlemen that lived here in 1801 out of 5 people that lived here total. So 2 out of 5 names every 6 to 7 weeks is not coincidence. So here's the theory behind that. You are standing on Belgian blocks. These are bricks made straight from granite. If you watch anything paranormal, you've heard the term limestone before. I know that usually stirs things up a little bit. It's because limestone comes straight from the earth the same way granite does. Granite, when it's sitting in the same spot, is said to kind of hang on to the consciousness of memories and be able to replay them back. They call this the stone tape theory. So, again, I don't find a coincidence when Benjamin and John show up. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up, and that name is Jane. Remember, I did not tell you any of those names at any point in time tonight other than Big John at the very beginning. So Jane is a third person who lived down here in 1801. If they ever get confused about like which John it is, because there were 4 different Johns that lived down here. So we will get the last name, which was Johnson. So John Johnson, yes, that was his real name. So they did do an archaeological dig down underneath these bricks, and they found some of those people's clothing and tools. They classified them as lower class. It makes sense. I told you the other part of the wall was across the street on East Bay Street, which means those buildings weren't there. The smell of low tide is coming through here often. The rich people of Charleston are not going to put up with that. So have you guys been down to the Battery yet, where the houses are skinny and they go long backwards? Have you guys seen that yet? So there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, it keeps the smell of low tide out. We have piazzas here. That's basically a front porch for the door. It keeps that smell of low tide from coming into the home. They open up the second story window. The cool breeze comes in from over the water, and cool air drops, heat rises. It was old-fashioned air conditioning. The other reason is because you were taxed based on how much street side you took. The skinnier your house, the less taxes you have. Granted, we just left the Pinckney Mansion site where the actually house sat broad against East Bay Street. First thing is it's outside the city walls. Even if they were getting taxed, it's the Pinckneys. It was bragging rights. They'll pay the taxes. So they wanted to show off their beautiful home. They're politicians and indigo farmers, so they have quite a bit of money and don't care about the taxes. That's why the house sat broad against East Bay versus all the skinny going back long. Let's see. Before people lived here, this was actually where the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge. So hence the name Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons down here as well. Obviously the term Freemason, Mason. and you're gonna chuckle, but I get the term Illuminati about 4 to 5 times a year. I've already had it at least once this year. So again, who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio, or Portugal for that matter? But at the same token, I only hear the term Illuminati when we're in this space. Because remember, I've been doing almost the same route for 2.5, 3 years. I've changed it up a little bit, but normally this is about the same time frame when I'm in here. So we're in, as far as that 6 to 7 week long loop that I told you about, we're in that 5 to 6 week part of the 6 to 7 week loop. I can't pinpoint it yet, but with tonight's moon, I was kind of like, maybe it's something doing with the moon phase. So I'm paying attention, especially to this area when I'm going through your data. Did it die or freeze up? I think it froze. Can you see a picture in there? Yeah, it froze. Okay. And you should be dying soon on my camera. You do have to change it out at least once. So we are going to go to another alley after this. However, I cannot take you through it. I've been booted out. You guys have joined the annoying group with all the blinky lights and noisemakers and all of that kind of thing. And I'm the one who got caught going all the way through it, and it is considered residential at the end. I will explain more once we get there because, yes, it's kind of relevant to the way the route is. And it is very uncanny on what actually happened when I got booted out of it. So we're going to cut through a neighborhood. So obviously we're going to stop filming once we get to the edge of the alley. So Sawyer and Brandon, you guys are going to cut your videos off once we exit until we get to the next alley. By all means, spirit boxes, keep listening in. As far as EMF detectors, you're still going to get false positives from those parking meters, but we'll kind of see what happens once we stop. I still tell the story of that alley, by the way, is because we still get a ton of activity. Last night's activity coming out of that alley was ridiculous. So again, I had it through the rest of those 4 because we were still relatively in the same space. So again, it's kind of a crazy thing. It's been pretty quiet tonight over there. Are you just like super focused? You like laser focused? Okay, so again, I'm getting like the stare down. I'm not sure if they're daggers or if he's so focused he can't like take his eyes off me. So
Taking it all in.
I know I talk a lot too, and I talk fast. So we're gonna cut through the rest of this alley. Remember, video takers, cut them off once we exit. So let's go see what's going on at the next alley.
What does uncanny? Huh? What does uncanny mean? Strange. Yeah.
Anything out of there? Kind of get the gist of how to listen to it now? This was the first record. It's not easy. I'm asking you to use your senses in a way that you
Feel like there's annoying speed bumps in these stupid neighborhoods.
It's a lot easier when you have your own earbuds and I give you the recording back. So, and yours is going to record. So it's okay if you miss something. I'm going to watch that tomorrow morning anyway. And I'm always going to give you the markers of what I got.
Ironic?
So,
Nah, not ironic.
Where's my phone? There's no.
Mom, no, I'll just do it later, but did you take a good picture?
Yeah.
Alright.
what's that? You can. This is a crazy spot. So let's kind of pull into this history, guys. Let's move back towards this wall. I like to come back here because all the other doors are just cutting through, and they're just showing off the powder magazine and they move on. But here's the reason why we're here. First off, we're going to be discussing the powder magazine, which is that little building over there with the crosses on it. I'll come up in just a second. But the reason why we're here is because this building is the oldest government building in South Carolina. So we don't have many buildings this old. Yeah, the little tiny one. Yep. So I guess I should explain first. First off, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts, that just behind those is that they're turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can basically tighten those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. I know, you're looking at me like, yeah, that bullshit don't work. So I talked to a lot of Californians and they're like, yeah, that doesn't work. The reason I bring it up is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that we actually put in Charleston because of the age of the building and what it is. It belongs to the government, so they have to protect it. We talked about the Charlestown walls earlier. That garage behind you, that's where the wall stood. It came up Cumberland Street, just past the powder magazine, and started going south towards the battery. It puts the gunpowder magazine in the corner of the walls on purpose. If it gets attacked by Revolutionary warships or pirate ships from 3 blocks away, those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. But let's say it does, and it goes through, penetrates, blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof underneath those red shingles that's supposed to go up in the air with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery, it got attacked, sand went up, building burned to the ground, so another bullshit story. So,
The sand is still there because the sand doesn't disintegrate. We're talking about sand from like the early 1700s. It would have been like 1708, 1710, roughly, because this building was finished in 1713. The reason why we're here looking for Anne Bonny is because this is a familiar. So it's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. So again, kind of like what we used with the trigger object with the indigo seeds, the same kind of principle. We don't have many buildings this old. This is a hit or miss location. So it's a matter of, are we here at the same time that she is? Because she does come all over town. At least she's said to be seen all over town. So let's get into the crazy story. Would you hear?
Eliza.
Liza?
Eliza.
Oh, there's a cat.
Across the street. And that's not
It's
Jack.
cold. It's a ghost cat.
No, cat's warm.
There's a like a blonde cat that comes through here that I named him Jack. And we'll find out why here in just a moment. So our story actually begins in 1708, even though this building was finished in 1713. So let's get into it. A young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Are you guys with me so far? It gets a little twisty. See head nods. Okay, good. So the three of them are running away from his wife. Just pointing that out. So once they get here, they land in Georgetown. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation and keep things afloat, which is why we're here, because again, the building's familiar, same time frame. Now, young Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly when she was only like 7 or 9 years old. So again, lots of holes in this story, but that's the kind of mentality I want you all to keep in the back of your mind as we're talking about her. Fast forward, building 713, 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is about 16, 17 years old at this time, and she's stoked. She falls in love pretty quickly. The guy's name is James Bonny. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. I wouldn't approve either. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, their most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. And when they got down there, this is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy's a privateer, so he's a spy for the British. And in her eyes, he's a coward. So this is not who she wanted. She falls in love again. Guy number 2. I'm going to keep track. Guy number 2 turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Obviously, that's why I named the cat Jack. We're going to call him Jack through the rest of the story, not to confuse all the J names, because there are a lot of them. So Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. Couldn't put a girl on the crew because girls curse pirate ships. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's how things go. So she's okay with this because Dad back home in Ireland used to cross-dress her as a boy to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. Adults, let's put 2 and 2 together. Female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Like, somebody's going to figure it out. So, that she's a female. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty mad. Jack just captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck, and Anne's going to go flirting. That's guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So yes, I practiced that in front of the mirror, Rick. I seen you looking at me like, what the hell's he saying? So, we have 2 females dressed like guys on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. So, her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for sure. And the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come and take down one little pirate ship. So Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up from below deck with their 1-bullet flintlocks to try to defend the ship. Obviously, the fleet's going to take them and arrest them all. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at Jack, her beau and captain, and says, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. So the word dog is obviously very prominent here. The judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back by themselves. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken sailors that couldn't come up and fight. So he wants to see the 2 courageous ones by themselves. He doesn't know that they're female, so they go in front of him, they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. Still gonna hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said, meaning they were claiming to be pregnant, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delaying the hanging. Dad is still here in Charlestown with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne. She remarries. That's husband number 2, guy number 4. Yes, we're going to count Mary Reed. And has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. Now, I know, all my stories end with a very abrupt ending. But what happened to Mary Reed, you might ask? She died a year later in the Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. I'm sure it was scurvous and bumpy and gross and whatever else you want to come up with. I left 2 things out purposely. You guys know what you're doing with your devices by now, as far as listening and watching for certain things. So I only left 2 things out. Everything else is fair game. You can ask whatever the hell you want to. The 2 things I left out are the name of Anne Bonny's parents
That would be the father and his mistress. The name of Calico Jack's ship are the things that you can get yourself started with. Now, I told you at the beginning of the story that people have passed out on my tours in the past, and this story is actually relevant to where we are. Back in September, give me 2 more minutes of your time and I'll spread us out. So, back in September, I bring my group back here just like I always do, and the kid next to me starts to pass out, goes white as a ghost. I pick him up by the armpit, and me and his boyfriend take him over to that wall, and I send him over with a couple of dollars to go get a bottle of water for his dude, and he brings it back, and everything's going fine. He's starting to feel better. I then tell the story. They don't know the story yet. So, they pull me aside after I spread everybody out with their devices, and they say, we have to tell you something. I'm like, what's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary on the tour. And now he was feeling way better, by the way, so I didn't have to call the EMTs that night, which was super great. But at the same time, like, they were perfectly fine with me repeating this because it's obviously part of the story at this point, and it made sense on why one of them was feeling faint once we entered the space. And again, it was September. The temperature was right around this for us, just so you know. It wasn't too hot or too cold or anything or bundled up. So again, this was not a coincidence at all. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. That's why I give that heated warning at the beginning of the tour. Those of you with cameras, if you want to go to the front of the powder magazine, you can do that. You have to exit the lot and make a left, go up to the wrought iron gates, and hook your cameras in there. You can, just don't drop your cameras. And do not interrupt the other tours. Just kind of wait your turn. So again, they like to stop and just, hey, this is the powder magazine, oldest government building, and then they move on. So we are going to be listening in, obviously, to our spirit boxes. That thing has given us a lot of static. It's probably been the most I've heard out of that all night, so hopefully we get some things out of that. I won't tell you what normally comes up here, because it's usually the same terms. But spirit boxes, definitely listen in. EMF readers, this is not the Pinckney Mansion site. If we get anything, we'll be super excited, because again, this is kind of a dead space, no pun intended. So let's spread out, let's see what we can capture. We're going to end over there by that wall, which is where I'm going to go hang out for a few minutes until you guys start peeling your way over to me.
Whoa. Yeah. Was what was the name of Calico Jack's ship? The Black Pearl. Elizabeth and William Turner. That's a cannon. No. Oh, shit. Fuck. What is?
She got abort.
Abortion.
Abort.
But then the parents.
Why you gotta say that?
That's what I tried.
It's a construction. Just metal, a little cold on there.
Cough drops.
All right, what do we got?
Suffer,
Okay.
shock, angry, abort, habit. No.
No, you got a pretty light list.
I'd educate again.
Well, I am pretty much your teacher tonight.
Yeah.
I would be more impressed if the word teach come up, because that's Blackbeard's real name, Edward Teach. So a lot of times if Teach comes up, I'll get Ed somewhere, or Edward. Like it's almost a guarantee that it's going to be in there.
Yeah. You got a little orange.
The parking meters over there will kind of make that go off. So our parking meters, the electrical wires for them are under the sidewalk. So pretty much whenever we're on the streets, it's another reason why I like to come to the lots.
Yeah.
Because we're not supposed to have anything going on in the lots. So, Danielle, did you hear anything?
Candle in the wind.
It's funny. Somebody heard that last week, and it stuck. It just sticks out to me whenever I hear consistent phrases that you guys are telling me.
And she's always a woman to me. I heard that
Oh,
too.
yeah. I like that one.
Oh, Joel.
That's good.
Oh yeah, it's almost like directly up.
She's always. What do we miss? Oh, I'm gonna reach out. What do you got?
Paranormal investigation.
Really?
Yeah.
You heard my commercial? No, I'm kidding.
It might have been.
That's so funny.
I thought so also. I was like, yeah, so we're out. Something else though.
I like she's always a woman to me. I will tell you, one night, you would think this is funny, but I hear two ladies, like two DJs, saying, they think we're guys, and they just busted out laughing. Like, considering the story, it makes complete sense. Any readings coming out of yours?
No, I got a little by the road, like a 3 or a 4, but that's it.
Yeah, that's going to be parking meters.
I heard 2 a couple times, and figure and warning.
Warning again?
Or warning, one of the 2.
little light. Other than your face. Good thing is yours is the one recording, so we'll all be able to laugh at that tomorrow. Always a woman to me. Candle in the wind here, though. Like, that's the second time I've heard that at this space.
She's always a woman to me?
That's what she heard.
I did.
So, and we already kind of went through the word list and really what just
Joel,
came out.
right?
Both. And he has the number 2 that came up. So, again, might be...
2 lovers?
Yeah, possible. But she had 4.
2 husbands.
2 husbands, 4 lovers. So, James Bonnie and Calico Jack. Bonnie was a husband, and Jack tried to buy the dowry from Bonnie, but he refused. So, and then we had Mary Reed, and then the second husband, which would have been after the pirate. So, Joseph, Art, I think. All right, let's go over to the wall, and we'll kind of do a quick recap on everything and give you the answers. Me and Brandon were talking while you guys were all checking out the front, and one of the tours that came through, short little bald guy, black mask on, that is Pleasing Terror's tour. I'm not one to usually pitch other tours, but if you want to listen to a master storyteller, that's your guy. Holy cow. Like, one of the few people that I actually get along with in this industry. So I don't have a whole lot of friends here as far as competition goes, because it's very cutthroat. So Anne Bonnie, this is one of the few pictures that I could find of her where she actually had a shirt on. She normally liked to bare her breast to show the men that she killed that they were just killed by a woman. So, and I like to show off this picture because it does show off the flintlock guns, during the time frame. So again, kind of a badass chick.
Yeah.
Of course, this is one depiction of her. There are many. Most people, Irish lady, red hair, they kind of picture the vixen kind of mentality, and that's usually how she's portrayed. As far as Calico Jack goes, oh, by the way, Anne Bonnie's parents' names were William Cormack and Mary Brennan. You guys were not expecting that second Mary to come through. This is Calico Jack. He was named that, they were dubbed that, because of the jackets he wore. They came from the men that he killed. So these were not... That was interesting. What was that?
Goat.
That's what I thought it said. Just so weird. Goat. I don't know. I'll find it.
Greatest of all time.
What's that?
It's an acronym for the greatest of all time.
Oh, yeah. I didn't put that together.
Calico Jack was the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And basically the pirate flag that goes into your brain, normally the skull and the crossbones, that theory actually came from a design from Calico Jack. He created the skull and cross swords for the Jolly Roger. So again, that's why he was named that. The name of his ship, if you guys were asking, was called the Kingston. Do I expect Kingston to pop through a spirit box unless it's disembodied through the one that Zach has? I don't, but the word king will suffice here. Like, that's usually it. Did you guys ask anything else, or were you just kind of tuning in to see what was coming up?
Those are the 2 questions we asked.
Okay. All right, so here's what's going to happen from here. This was lighter than what I normally see on an average basis. I told you I would be very honest with you. I'm very excited about the readings that happened in real time. I was there witnessing that with you. That was really cool at Pinckney Mansion site. I'll be very interested to see what I capture out of the recordings. Remember, 40% is caught in the field, and then the other 60% is by going through the data. So that I usually get excited about going through the data because I'm the writer/researcher, and that's where I really thrive. So feel free to flip through all of the investigations, whatever date you want to go to. Particularly look at last night's tour. Last night's tour was a heavy night. There was a lot going in there. We even caught something on the thermal imaging camera, and I put the still frame up for them. And again, I only capture usually about 4 or 5 things per year on that camera. And in the past 3 weeks, I caught 2 pieces. And one of them was caught by an 8-year-old girl that had the camera that night. So that was super cute. She was so stoked. Like, her father texted me back and was like, "You have no idea how excited she is that she caught something." So it was really cool. And and that was a full body apparition walking across one of our spaces, and it was blue with a black face, meaning the colder part of the area was the face, where it should have been the exact opposite. It should have been orange and then white. And I was in the frame at the time, so I was kind of like that comparison. So just kind of keep that in mind when you guys look for those kind of things. But I will leave you a ton of notes, a ton of links to kind of verify everything that's going on. And of course, you'll have your regular audio. So I'm going to stop the regular audio so that way you guys know how much data you're actually going to have. I don't pay attention to time when we're out and about because whatever data whatever is experiencing, that's what's going on. An hour and 57 minutes. I almost hit it exactly on the mark. Look at that. So again, a little bit of a lighter night. On the heavier nights, it's usually about 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes some nights. And my wife's like, where the hell are you? Like, what's going on? So I'm going to start collecting those devices. I'm going to start with Brandon's camera just because it has its own space by itself. So we are going to have 17, 13, so that's going to be about 30 minutes grand total out of yours. So that's honestly between this and whatever Sawyer caught on his camera, probably about an hour and 15 minutes is about the average there. So you're still going to have about 6 to 7 hours worth of data, just so you guys know, plus all of the rating I'm going to give you to do. Zach, I'll take your spirit box, just because it goes to the top as well. And I have to write down the greatest of all time, as Tina so pointed out. So, what questions do you guys have? I'm an open book.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
In media or in real life?
Yes.
IRL.
I guess a lot of it has to do with like how it's being.